There have been many famous murders in history. I would, as would many, be forced in school to read one of the most famous murders, Shakespeare's play on the murder of Julius Caesar. As I was reading the play, I came to consider two questions. How did we come to this point where this man was murdered by his close friends, and who was this man? So I read the writings of Plutarch, a Roman historian of the period, and allow me to teach you what I've learned. To begin, not much is known of Julius Caesar's childhood. Indeed, the writings of Plutarch on the matter were lost. However, Plutarch's writings of his early life past childhood were preserved. In his early life, Julius Caesar married a woman named Cornelia, the daughter of Cinna, a man who had been senator 4 times. With her, he would have a daughter named Julia. This marriage, however, would lead him to be punished, as Sulla, the Roman dictator, seized Cornelia's dowry from Caesar for not meeting his demands to divorce her. Furthermore, due to one of Caesar's aunts marrying a member of a rival political faction, Caesar was forced from Rome and went into hiding in order to avoid being murdered by Sulla. After being pardoned by Sulla, Caesar would seek popularity with the Greeks by advocating against corrupt officials for them. These attempts would come to fruition when he was elected military tribune. He then became quaestor and would later become praetor of Spain. The greatest of these, however, was when Julius Caesar would win the election for Pontifex Maximus, a highly respected office, in a close election. Despite holding 3 different offices, his praetorship in Spain is arguably the most influential in this period of his life, because soon after his praetorship in Spain ended, he became the governor of Spain. Perhaps the highlight of his governorship was his campaign against the Spanish tribes, which earned him the right to sue for triumph, a military honor. However, he abandoned his right to sue for triumph to attend and then win the consular elections. Now a consul, Caesar first handled the politics in Rome, and then began his famous military campaigns. Caesar set out to conquer Gaul, an area spanning modern-day France. He would complete the task in 2 wars, the first against 2 Gallic tribes, the second defending Roman Gallic subjects against the German king. However, his conquest of Gaul was not perfect. Gaul revolted against Caesar and had to be quelled. After doing so, Caesar would become more famous and influential to the Roman public. Caesar then attempted to spend the winter away from his troops. However, he was interrupted by a German invasion, which he then quelled. After a short period of peace, Gaul revolted and was suppressed again by Caesar. Overall, Caesar's campaigns in Gaul lasted 10 years. During his campaign in Gaul, politics in Rome had become increasingly divided. Caesar and Pompey, the latter of whom was an old friend of Caesar, who helped him in the consular elections, were now engaging in a power struggle. Furthermore, when Caesar attempted to extend his term as consul, and thereby his governorship in Spain and Gaul, the Senate refused. Caesar then, in response, raised his troops and began occupying Gaul. A civil war had started between Pompey and Caesar. After defeating one of Pompey's generals in battle, Caesar marched against Pompey in the Battle of Pharsalus, securing victory in the civil war. After securing this victory, Caesar did many things. One of the first things Caesar did post-Civil War was to thwart a plot against him in Egypt, while also placing Cleopatra, an Egyptian noblewoman Caesar was infatuated with, on the throne of Egypt. After the conflict in Egypt, Caesar returned to Rome and was re-elected consul by the Senate. After this re-election, Consul confronted the remnants of Pompey's faction who had fled to Africa. And after securing victory in Africa, Caesar held 3 triumphs, one for Egypt, one for Pontus, and one for Africa. Soon after these triumphs, Caesar fought against the sons of Pompey in Spain. Despite all of these victories and the fame and fortune they brought, Caesar's public opinion began to suffer. When Caesar was appointed dictator for life, the appointment and the excessive honors thereof were seen as obnoxious and repugnant to the common people of Rome. Furthermore, his overall yearning for monarchical power reinforces growing unpopularity and decline of public opinion. In fact, it is due to the monarchical ambition of Julius Caesar that a conspiracy began to develop in the Roman Senate. This plot against Caesar would take place famously on the Ides of March, otherwise known as March 15th. On the Ides of March, Caesar would be murdered by the members of the Senate. According to Plutarch, Caesar died in silence with a toga over his head. In conclusion, Caesar was a general who achieved many feats. Despite all of these feats, his overambitiousness and fondness of glamour and glory turned those loyal to him against him.